Hello, Eric Langhorst here at Discovery Middle School. I teach 8th grade American history, and perhaps the most asked question that I get throughout the year is how can my student improve their grade and possibly retake a test that they didn't do very well on? So I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about that. I have a very strong philosophy that if a student does not do well on a test and they wanted to retake that, I totally want that to be an option for my students, but we do have a way for them to prepare for that and make sure that when they take a retake, they have prepared, they're ready to take it, and hopefully they have the potential to do well and succeed on that retake. So for each unit of study, we have 2 tests that they can retake throughout the year if they don't do well in the first one, and that is one, a map test. So for each unit, we have a test that is based off of geographic principles or places, concepts. That map test is worth 50 points for each one. And then we also have a comprehensive test. The comprehensive test is a multiple choice test that covers everything we cover in the unit. It could be vocabulary, concepts, ideas. That test is worth 100 points. So as we go through the year, if they don't do well on the first test, and I realize that a lot of different things could happen. Maybe they make a bad choice and don't study for the test. Maybe there was an emergency in the family the day before and they didn't get a chance to prepare. All those types of things that could potentially happen. If a student wants to do well on a test and retake it, I totally believe in that. I just have an option for them to follow some procedures so that we can make it successful for them. So the first thing I wanted to show you is a retake form. So when students want to take a retake of a test, I have these forms available in my classroom. They're right next to the door. Students grab it, they fill it out. This essentially just lets me know which test they want to retake, maybe a little bit about why they didn't do as well as they wanted to on the first attempt, and then what they're going to do to help prepare themselves for the retake. So they filled this one out first, and then for each particular test, I have these study guides that are at the front of the room as well. This is the one from our Unit 1 test, and this is the same as the study guide that they use to prepare for the test. And what I asked them to do with this is to fill it out so that they can turn it in with the retake form. So that's for the Unit 1 test that we had. This is for the Unit 1 map test, for example, okay? So they take both of those forms and they come to me and they say, hey, Mr. Langhorst, I'd like to retake the test. And we just double check to make sure that I'm available for them to retake the test either before school or after school. Now, when I say before school, they don't have to come into school at like 6:30 in the morning or anything. They just have to come into my classroom between 7 and 7:15. So students come into the building at 7. We don't start our first class until 7:15. They can come in and take a retake with me. If it takes longer than 7:15, I'll write them a pass so that they can get to their first period class and not be tardy. So they can do it before school, or they could do it after school. So if they choose to do it after school, that would be between, say, 2:20 and 3 o'clock or so. Now, on almost every day, I'm here before school and after school during those time periods. If I have a meeting or some type of thing where I'm not going to be here, that's where I would tell them, hey, let's go ahead and plan it for a different day. And that's why I want them to communicate with me in advance so that I make sure that I'm here for them to take that retake. Now, when they take the retake, if they get a higher grade, the higher grade goes in the gradebook as their grade for that particular test. So very, very rarely, I would say probably less than 1% of the time, I would have a student do less than what they did on the first one. If that's the case, then obviously we would keep the higher of the grades. But the process that we have, and I've used this process for about 4 years now, really ensures that, one, the students are prepared when they take the retake. And, sometimes I have students that completely bomb the test. So maybe they got, 10 out of 50 on the map test and they want to take it again. I totally understand why they want to improve their grade that way. And sometimes I have students that maybe just miss a couple questions, but they really want to retake the test because they feel like getting the highest grade possible is important to them. If that's the option, I also have no problem with them retaking that test. So for the map test and the comprehensive test, I do encourage students to retake it if they want to. We do have some assignments that are not retakeable. They do a challenge project for each unit. That's basically a project. There's a due date for that, and if the project is late, we'll take some points off kind of gradually as it becomes later and later. And then we also do a couple projects with American History or National History Day, and those are also kind of deadline-based type things. But if a student wants to increase their grade, the majority of their grade for each unit are those two tests that I've just described. As far as when they can retake them, I typically allow students to retake any test for the semester up until 3 days before the end of the semester. So for example, in the fall semester here for 2015, our final day that's scheduled is December 18th. So they could retake any of those tests for any unit up until December 15th. And then in the spring, it kind of depends a little bit if we have snow days and things. As we get into April and stuff, we kind of have a better idea of when the last day is. But I always say within 3 days from the last day of the semester. So I hope that helps out. If you guys have any questions about retakes, definitely let me know. But my role as a teacher, I believe, is to help our students prepare themselves and learn as much as possible. And retakes are something that are common in real life. I know I've had this discussion with a lot of people. Some people believe that retakes should not ever be given to students so that they can learn what the real world is like. But I do believe in retakes. Lawyers that take the bar, they can retake the exams. Doctors can retake medical boards. Driver's license, if you fail your first driver's license test, it's not like you can never get a driver's license in the future. So there's lots of examples in the real world where people can retake tests. And if they want to perform better, they have another opportunity. So if you have any questions, let me know. But hopefully that answers some questions about how your students can take retakes in my classroom here at Discovery Middle School. Thanks.